Hey Bookies, today I'm going to go over some books that I am recommending that you read in the fall. So, let's get started. So, just to be clear, these are fall recs. That doesn't mean that all of these take place during the fall. It doesn't mean all of them are horror books, even though those are very popular during the spooky season that we're in. But these are books that, okay, that might be happening during that season, but also that just kind of feel fallish to me. Like, they have that sense of, like, slow down. Time is going slowly, and everything is changing. That's the feel I'm going for. So, I have a couple of books that I have in person, and then I have a couple of ebooks that I have to recommend. And here are, I'm thinking I have like 10. The 10 books that I'm going to recommend that you read if you're a YA reader and you like fall. The first one, To Break a Covenant by Allison Ames. This is so good. And I believe it just came out. Yes, just came out on the 21st of September. It is about these 4 girls that live in this town. Think kind of like the town that Resident Evil is based on. It is this old mining town, and the mine, something happened to it. It collapsed. Now it's unsafe to live in the old town they live in, like at the outer edges of the town. And there's some spooks and some ghosts that are happening. And it's told like through the perspective of this of our main character named Clem, but also through the unedited footage of these various ghost hunting people, TV personalities, if you will, that came to investigate the town happenings and found a little bit more than what they could chew off. Super good. I gave it a 4 out of 5 just because the monster wasn't very well explained, but I still highly recommend this. The next one I'm going to read is a favorite, Cemetery Boys. I don't have to tell you what this is about, in my opinion, because you should already know what this is about if you have been in this community. But basically this book is about Yadriel. He is part of Brooke's family, which is a witch wizard family. And he's trans, so there's really good trans rep. And he meets Julian, who had an unfortunate encounter, and now he's a ghost. So it's up to Yadriel to save him and discover themselves. Super good, 5 out of 5. All the spooks, all the horror, and just a lot of cemeteries, a lot of fall vibes, okay? The next one, The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. So, while this book takes place in all 4 seasons, but the story really kind of picks up in the fall, and the book is, in my opinion, really fall-based because it's a lot about change. It's a lot about Clara changing from this girl who doesn't want powers to becoming, coming into her own by the end of the book. It's so good. If you've not read this, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You need to put down whatever you're reading and read this right now because it is so good and you won't regret reading it. And it's also got bisexual rep. The next one is Cinderella is Dead by Kalynn Bayron. Kalynn Bayron has become like one of my favorite authors, just based off of this first book alone. This is so good. I don't believe that this is specifically set in fall, but the cover is giving me fall vibes, kind of like fall-winter vibes, but it also involves a lot of change. A lot of change for Sophia, who is realizing that her town is too patriarchal, and she's going to change that. It needs some feminism to come to its town. So it's super good. Like, if you haven't read it, it's so good. It's a really good Cinderella retelling, probably one of the best that I've read. And yeah, like, it's got good lesbian rep. Next one is Year of the Witchling by Alexis Henderson. Again, I don't know if this is specifically set in the fall, but I believe that it is. But the story follows Emmanuel, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Emmanuel, her existence is blasphemy, and it just spirals from there. It's so good. It's not typically YA, but it's like, it was too good for me not to put on this list. Next one that I have is Small Favors by Aaron A. Craig. Now, I don't know like what specific time period that this was supposed to be based in, but it gives me the Village vibes. So like, and it gives me the witch vibes. So like, kind of like, it's like kind of in that era of like, we still burn witches era. But it's set like kind of like in that era, but it gives me like a lot of fall vibes, even though the majority of it happens during the winter. It follows Ellery, who's living in this town where there's a ton of rules, a lot of them not favorable to women, of course. And something happens, and there's these monster demon-like things that are in the woods. Now, the twist did not do anything for me. I could have done with a different twist, but it was still really good, and I highly recommend this. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Next one I have is Only If You Dare, which is 13 Stories of Darkness and Doom, because it is Halloween, and we need some darkness and doom. But this is just 13... I just realized that it was Unlucky 13. 13 different stories that you can read, short stories. And look, it's got like a little skull there. So, like, this book features, I'm just going to read the back. A mysterious microwave, a threatening board game, a snowman that refuses to melt. Even your own heartbeat has secrets. So, a lot of, like, Edgar Allan Poe vibes, R.L. Stine vibes, stuff like that. Super good. Recommend. The next one is more of a middle grade book. I'm sorry, I like middle grade. But it's The Cursed Carnival and Other Calamities by authors that have wrote for the Rick Riordan Presents imprint. It is so good, and it gives me all the fall vibes, even though it's not specifically set in fall, because it's like dark and spooky and mysterious and a lot about change and the winds of change. The winds of change. That's what we look for in fall. A couple of other books that I don't have on hand that I also recommend is The Girls Are Never Gone, which is by Sarah Glenn Marsh. Sarah Glenn Marsh is a wonderful writer, and this book does not fail. So it's about this girl, I believe her name is Dare. She runs a podcast after her and her ex-boyfriend broke up, and she decides, she comes up with this great idea that she's going to host this podcast based on this haunted house. While living in this haunted house, she goes and she stays in it for the summer. It's more of like set in the summer, but it's so spooky that you need to read it in the fall, especially if you're looking for the spooks. And another book, if you're looking for the spooks, is Small Town Monsters. Small Town Monsters is loosely based on, inspired by The Conjuring, which is inspired by Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were real life ghost hunters. Oh, that was a big bang. Kind of spooky. What is more spooky than doing a video and hearing a big bang? I still don't know what that was. Anyways, we're just gonna move on. So, Small Town Monsters is loosely based on The Conjuring, which is also based on Ed and Lorraine Warren. I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs. They're very upset by the noise, and I'm trying to get this done because I have other stuff to do. But it's based loosely on Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were paranormal investigators and demonologists. If you don't know who they are, I highly advise you check out either the Conjuring series to get started, but also maybe a documentary about them, because they're super interesting. They are super interesting. I cannot just exclamation mark it enough. Super interesting. But it was so good. Basically about this demon that gets set loose in this town. What's more to love than that in the fall? So that is 10 books that I recommend that you read. If you've not read any of them, I highly advise it. Especially The Girls Are Never Gone, Small Town Monsters, and To Break a Covenant. All super good books. Actually, all of these are super good, but those are the ones I highly recommend. All of them super good, super highly recommend, and I hope that you have a great fall. So, see you guys later. Bye!